Hello, everybody. My name is Damien, the host of the Tall Friendly Atheist Dad podcast. Now, usually it is a pleasure to have guests on the line with me, but in this case, it's time to ask some very hard questions because for the very first time, giving his very first public interview is the coronavirus. The coronavirus, are you there? Coronavirus, where you are, it's a little bit choppy, so can you maybe... I suppose your virus to human translator isn't quite working properly, so yeah, you may need to get your human translator to... Oh dear. Ooh. Sorry, everyone. I thought we did have the technical issue sorted out before, but they seem to have come back up. COVID, do you need a moment to yourself to work out something? No, I'm sorry. That's. Can you maybe make some adjustments to your end, just to make sure you are your technical team, if you have a technical team. Sorry, everyone. I know this was going to be a groundbreaking interview, but hasn't quite worked out. Sorry. All right, are you? Can you try speaking? Can you try to speak now? Hello, COVID. Are you there? No, his mic's gone off. Okay, so just to give you a little bit of backstory, a few weeks ago I found that COVID did have a Twitter account, and he did actually agree to an interview, and for a couple of weeks we've been going back and forth. But actually, while I'm waiting for coronavirus to get back online, that intro music was from... Oh, he's back. No, that's... No, it does sound like maybe COVID. Do you want to maybe exit the studio, then come back in and see if that improves your connection? No, this is disappointing. Okay, so now that coronavirus has left the studio, I'm going to get him to get it to come back in. But yeah, just quickly, that intro music was from the band Victim of Illusion from their album Invisible Light. If you head over to victimofillusion.bandcamp.com and purchase their latest album Invisible Light, if you love prog rock and want to help independent artists, for only a handful of euro, you can have high quality MP3s of their music, and I've been listening to it quite a lot because I love that kind of stuff. And Victim of Illusion were gracious enough to let me use their music both for the podcast and for the videos. So anyway, and also while we're waiting, you can actually check out the podcast at down the bottom. There'll be a whole lot of contact information for the podcast, either Twitter, Facebook. You can go to the website www.tallfriendlyatheistdad.com, and it looks like we have coronavirus back in the. Hello, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I really
You have reinfected the broadcast. All right. I suppose. Can you try? Are you okay to answer some questions?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that sound. Whatever you did just then, that sounds a lot better. So, there are some pressing questions that I need to ask you, and to try set the record straight. So, COVID, are you ready?
Let's go.
Okay, no worries. So the first question I have is your origins. The commonly accepted explanation is that you originated in an unsanitary market in Wuhan, China. Though there is speculation you were created in a lab. Could you clarify for us?
I can assure you that I was not deliberately created. Virus research goes on all the time, and viruses can escape labs. My
True,
daddy,
yes. Oh, yes, your daddy.
the original SARS-CoV, also started out in China back in 2002. Yet no one questions that. No one asks if he was a bioweapon. Why am I always living in my father's shadow? This is insane.
Okay. Well, if I can ask, is there some tension between you and your dad? So I take it that the original SARS outbreak of 2002 was your dad?
He left me when I was a kid.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. But I suppose this begs a question. For a virus that originated in China, you do speak with a distinctly American accent. Could I ask why?
I just figured that more people would understand me if I spoke like Tom Hanks. I did try speaking with a Texan drawl, but I found it inhibited my reproductive rights.
Okay, that's a very, very pressing point. So just like Pitbull, you are Mr. Worldwide.
I come from China. My name, Corona, is Spanish for crown. I'm a virus of the world. I'm everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. I'll grant you that one. Which leads me to my next question. The similarity with the flu, in particular influenza A, are you related in any way to the common influenza virus?
Oh, God. Barely. There are some similarities in that we're both viruses that cause respiratory distress. But in reality, sorry, I just tested positive for Loomer recently, so excuse me.
I hope you're okay. But you were talking about your relations with influenza A.
In reality, though, influenza A just thinks that he's cool. He's just an attention whore who thinks he's so special because he's been around for years. Well, buddy, look who's cutting your turf now. I did more in 1 year than you have in 100.
Okay, that's some that's some pretty strong words. And not that I'm a fan of either of you, but yeah, your trail of destruction has been pretty shocking. And speaking of the trail of destruction and what you've been able to accomplish in a year or a year and a half, do you have any remorse for what's happened? Do you even have any capacity to feel guilt or shame or culpability for what's happened so far?
Look, man, Damien. Look, level with me.
Sure.
I just want me and my family to survive, just like you do. We're not so different.
Well, true, but I don't have to put people in the hospital to feed my family and make my family survive, you know?
You would if you had to, but look, think about it. It's not like I can just go to the supermarket and get food like humans do. Viruses can't get jobs or bank accounts or get social security numbers or do the lemonade stand gig.
Well, true, yeah.
You get angry at flies for eating your leftovers? No. So why are you hating on me, bro?
Okay, that's a good point.
Think of it. Think of what me and my children do as sort of crowdfunding. We take a little bit here, we take a little bit there, and
sure, yep. Or do you want to go into how you actually replicate and do your thing, just to help clarify for anyone who doesn't quite know?
To put it simply, when I enter your body, I don't have the mechanisms to replicate myself on my own, so I just borrow some genetic material from your cells. That's all I'm doing. I'm just borrowing from your cells and possibly rigging your cells to work in my favor, but that's besides the point. I believe that whole spiel about how doctors go on to say that viruses can create these so-called zombie cells. I think that's a little bit embellished, a little bit exaggerated, but that's kind of what happens, but not really.
Okay, I do need to ask the next question, though. Do you realise how many people you have killed in order to keep your children alive?
I lost count.
Well, I can tell. Like, if I look at Dr. Fauci's reports, I can give you a rough number, like well over 500,000. Well, actually, I was going to ask your thoughts on Dr. Fauci.
Well, Dr. Fauci, he isn't even my first nemesis. But well, just hang on. That one part you said about me killing people, it's just, look, that's rubbish. I've never killed anyone.
Really?
Those people died with me, not because of me. Those people had chins. Are you going to say that they died because of their chins? Don't be so ridiculous.
Well, no, but
they had several chins.
Well, some of them do, but like, what about those people who were elderly or had pre-existing conditions? What do you have to say about that?
That's because that's exactly why. Because they were elderly, because they had pre-existing conditions such as diabetes, heart problems, or they just hadn't had enough exercise or sunlight.
That's not true. Those people who died, some of those people who died in their 30s or their 20s, or even children who died after you infected them, you can't explain that away as the result of pre-existing health conditions. How many infants do you know that are obese? Come on.
Well, when I was in Kentucky, I saw heaps of fat children, hordes of them, just walking little bundles of energy, waiting for me to sink my teeth in and bulk up.
Well, it looks to me that you're shirking responsibility. Those kids and young adults were walking and talking, and then through no fault of their own, all of a sudden...
Look, Damien.
Yes,
buddy. Sir. Who are you going to trust? The CDC, who are lying to you, led by that liar Dr. Fauci, or the keyboard warriors on the internet who have read a conspiracy theory blog written by some naturopath with a picture of a doctor swimming in money on it? I'd take the advice of the naturopath, who hasn't had any medical training, if you ask me.
You just sound like you want me to read misinformation so we won't know how to avoid you.
Oh, don't be so cynical.
Speaking of misinformation, I do need to ask, what is some of the funniest misinformation you've heard about yourself?
Oh, wow. There are numerous conspiracy theorists calling me a hoax. I mean, come on, if I was a hoax, would I be talking to a podcaster from some backwater like Australia?
Well, sorry, COVID. I'm from Australia, and my podcast has been going for about a year. So put two and two together, and what do you get?
The only thing good to come out of Australia was possibly Hugh Jackman. The Hemsworth brothers don't count because there's so many of them.
Maybe they're Australia's virus.
Yes.
Hemsworth, you get 2, you get 3.
They just keep on multiplying like me. Like, it's the Hemsworth strain. Hemsworth variant.
Well, at least it'll be more popular than you, COVID. I can tell you that for sure.
Well, they're not nearly as handsome as I am.
Okay. Is there any other misinformation about you that you've heard about yourself that you want to talk about?
Ooh, well, whoops. Yeah, hey, did you know that they made a film about me being part of a conspiracy theory? Seriously.
Oh, really?
It's called Plandemic, the hidden agenda behind COVID-19.
And let me guess, they didn't ask for your input one bit.
When I found out, I straight away called my agent, who then called my lawyer, who then called the social media team, who called the production company.
Well, it sounds like you were quite upset, you know?
No, I was. Not only do I have to live in the shadow of my father, not only am I competing for the spotlight with my so-called cousin, the flu, not only am I being accused of killing children and old people, but now this? I mean, the least they could have done was use the publicity photos I took. I mean, hasn't anyone heard of IMDb? I mean, come on.
Well, there was also a theory about you being caused by 5G. So you thought that one was funny as well. Okay, that's a good one. I do want to ask as well, the funniest proposed methods or attempts to stop you. Like when I talk about the funniest methods to stop you, what's probably the first thing that comes to your mind?
The first real laugh that I had was a quaint little pastor or minister called Kenny Copeland and the Wind of God, trying to blow me away, and which is funny because I reside in your bodies, it's actually you that's going to be feeling the blow. That I can't tell how many times I've listened to that remix, and it's so good. If you're listening, can you tell Kenny I have nothing to do with Satan? Just make that clear. Nothing to do with him. We're not affiliated.
Okay, I doubt Kenny Copeland would listen to Reason, but then again, yeah, you never know. There was also the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, suggesting injecting bleach or sunlight. What are your thoughts on that?
He was my president. I mean, really my president.
Really?
Donald Trump. The bleach and the COVID thing, it's like, you're going to poison yourselves anyway. You're going to poison yourselves, and then you're going to make dying that much more painful and excruciating. So, by all means, if you think that sunlight and bleach can destroy me, by all means, pour yourselves little, just bleach martinis and have yourselves a COVID party.
Sure. And there was also there was a famous podcaster who was injecting ivermectin, which apparently is a horse dewormer. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh my goodness, that sounds gross. Isn't that for farm animal? I mean, do what you gotta do, but that's literally for sheep.
Yes. It seems that you have actually exposed the worst of us, and we may actually get to that later on in the interview. Some of your most famous celebrity infectees. Do you want to talk about some of the famous people that you've infected?
Oh wow. Well, remember the thing that I said about Tom Hanks? He's the first one who actually, one of the most famous people to blow the whistle on me first, besides Dr. Li Wenliang, but that's neither here nor there. Donald Trump, actually, he was a challenge.
Okay, why is that?
Well, not even I could handle all that Diet Coke.
Oh, really? That's
Rand Paul, Larry King, Ellen DeGeneres, Khloe Kardashian, The Rock, Mel Gibson, Harvey Weinstein, Prince Prince Charles, Prince Philip.
There's a whole laundry list of famous people. Which one did you enjoy being in the most?
Don't make me choose, but I will say this: you humans, you drink entirely too much alcohol and too much coffee.
Really?
Yeah, I can.
You want us to take health advice from you?
That is on you.
Okay, you've heard it from the horse's mouth. Your favorite population to infect or hang out at?
Oh wow. Now this I can do. Texas, Florida, Brazil, wherever there's a crowd.
There you are with them.
Absolutely, and religious ceremonies.
Oh yes, I was going to say because where you say there's a crowd, there you are. That sounds like what Jesus said in the Gospels, where where two or three are gathered in his name, there he is with them. So maybe that's where he got the idea from. He got the idea from a virus. But
I've been thinking of starting my own religion, Church of COVID. How does that sound?
It sounds horrible, to be honest. But okay, sure. Tell me more about your religious experiences, COVID.
Well, I can't really say that I believe in God. But I'm something of a god myself, in a sense. I do have people who worship me. Free travel everywhere. I'm omniscient, or is it omnipotent, or omnipresent? That's the one. I'm omnipresent. I'm omnipresent, meaning as I'm speaking to you right now, I'm infecting millions, if not billions, and millions across the globe. So I'm not a singular being, so neither is God. And I do have people who worship me, who help me out, who help me spread, like spreading the word, spreading the gospel, right? So I'm something of a god myself.
Okay. Speaking of people helping you spread, what's the fastest population that you've gone through and decimated?
Well, I went through India and England pretty fast.
I remember that. Yep.
Indonesia was a piece of cake.
And why would that be? Like, why those populations in particular?
Well, if I may elaborate on the rapid spread of just viruses in general.
Sure, yeah.
The way we spread is through close contact. The closer you are to each other, the easier it is for me to invade you, especially when you've got all of these anti-maskers, people who refuse the mask and refuse the vaccine. Oh, good job, by the way, anti-vaxxers. Bravo. Thank you. I appreciate that. Rooting for you. You help me, I help you.
Okay, yep. Actually, COVID, I'm going to stop you there. Phoebe J. Rose in the comments asks, hey, COVID, how come I've managed to avoid you completely?
I believe that comes down to a 4-letter word called luck.
Oh, okay. And Phoebe J. Rose also asks, what do you think about people trying to eradicate you?
Well, you're gonna fail.
Actually, COVID. Let's go into I didn't interrupt you there about how you were talking about how you spread and how you went through these populations. So maybe we'll talk about eradication in the next set of questions that I've got listed. So talk about how you went through those populations.
Well, I spread through you. I spread through human contact, as I already said. And there's so many people. It comes down to your leaders not enforcing any kind of rules. And when there are no rules, that allows me to be free. And no social distancing, and this herd immunity stuff that keeps on coming up. I mean, herd immunity? Really? You guys have barely begun to vaccinate. You can't even possibly hope to have herd immunity. And let's talk about this vaccine. This vaccine of your... It took you long enough to develop one, but in record time, so I'll give you that. But even with the vaccine, I'm still infecting, and I'm still killing thousands of people a day. Now, whose fault is that, really? Eventually, you humans, you Homo sapiens, are going to have to stop blaming me for these problems and start blaming your leaders and your BS COVID policies, or lack thereof. I mean, think about this. Right now, I have more reproductive rights than a woman in Texas.
Well, actually, speaking of, it's good that you bring Texas up, because Phoebe Rose in the comments asked, what was it like invading Boris Johnson, Greg Abbott, and Donald Trump?
Well, we have already gone over Donald Trump. And,
But Bojo and the governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, there were two other high-profile victims of yours as well.
Well, we tried making a Bojo variant, but that didn't pan out.
Oh, okay. And why didn't it pan out?
Well, he locked himself away in his little fortress, and Bojo's.
Well, I was going to say, you did make him humble for a few weeks. Yeah, he did. Slow down and talk like a regular politician for a while.
For a little while. So, I mean, in a strange way, talking about being humble, I've united humanity, at least the smart ones. Sure. There are people who treat each other better now. Everybody called their parents or their folks when this whole thing started. Mm-hmm. Everyone's getting a little bit more closer now, just in general, socially speaking. And that's within the rational humans that are among you.
Sure.
So, in a strange way, I've united humanity. Half of humanity.
Some of humanity, because in my home country, Australia, yesterday there were mass protests about the lockdowns that you were... Well, I can't blame you directly, but as a result of leaders trying to prevent us from getting you, there were numerous people out on the streets fighting with the police. When you see that, what do you think? Did you have a hand in that? Are you there? Also, give us your thoughts.
I was there at that protest, and you may want to watch your numbers within the next 3 weeks. Watch your COVID cases.
Really? Okay.
You may want to start clearing some beds.
I was going to ask you about your variants as well, because you've got actually tell us more about your variants.
Well, that's actually not all me. That was in part you. I believe I've gone through more than half the Greek alphabet. You're using the Greek one, right? So yeah. So I myself have mutated into the Delta variant. I'm Delta class now. I did begin as Alpha, but when that person coughed onto their smartphone, that's how I made it onto the internet. That's how I made it onto Twitter, and then that's how you and I met. So,
yes. Now I'm vaccinated, so you have no power here.
Let me tell you something about vaccines. They're posers. Yeah. Vaccines are posers. What they do is, you've been jabbed, right? So when the doctor jabbed you, what it did was it sent a poser inside of your body who pretends to be me, right? And then teaches your immune system all of my tricks and all of my... And it's not fair. Really? It's not fair. Yeah. No, it's not. Teaching that's cheating. I mean, mean, the only reason why this is a fair fight is because of the unvaccinated. The unvaccinated, those are my people.
Sure. Okay. I'll remember that. I'm sure they will as well.
They've followed me on Twitter.
Oh, really?
Yeah, unvaccinated lives matter. Followed me on Twitter. Not kidding.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a. Now we'll just go to a couple of questions in the comments.
That was easy.
Yeah. Phoebe Rose in the comments also asked, people today people are protesting about trying vaccinate people against you. Did you have a hand in that? I think we briefly touched on the protest, but there's another question: are vaccines a form of discrimination against you, in your opinion?
Against me specifically?
Yes. Like, how do you feel about, does your life matter as well, or what?
Well, viruses' lives do matter. I'm here, aren't I? So, in that respect, you humans have it really bad. If you're not vaccinated, you could lose your job. Me, all I have to do is infect another mammal. So, you guys have it rougher than I do.
Okay, fair enough. That is interesting. Well, before we end this interview, I will say thank you for your time. It's a bit weird interviewing a virus, but yeah. Do you have any final words before I let you go to do whatever it is that viruses do?
If you humanity, if I may address humanity.
Sure. Humanity.
I came to you tonight on the Tall Damien Atheist podcast. I came to you tonight to give you one piece of advice. As a virus, I am not benevolent or malevolent. I am a virus doing what nature has intended. That being said, if you want any hope of defeating me, you have to unite. You have to start treating each other better, because you treat each other like shit. I'm serious. If you want any hope at all, you have to start treating each other better, first and foremost. But I already know that a lot of you won't do that. So, I mean, the people that... Basically, the more divided you are, the more powerful I am. It's as simple as that.
Okay, well, everybody, you've heard it here first from the coronavirus himself. COVID, thank you for your time, and to everyone who's been listening, and to everyone who commented, thank you very much. I will say goodbye to you, COVID. Thank you for your time.
I'll be around.